Good morning, students. Today we are going to start with a new section, new unit of our syllabus, terms and concepts. The first term in our syllabus we are going to discuss is paradox. The word paradox finds its origin from the Greek word paradoxos, meaning incredible or contrary to expectation or existing belief. Paradox is a statement which seems on its face logically contradictory, absurd, or against traditional ideas, and yet turns out to be interpretable in a way and makes the reader think in an innovative fashion. It is a frequent component of verbal wit. The Irish writer Oscar Wilde was particularly noted for his use of paradoxes. In The Picture of Dorian Gray, which published in 1890, Oscar Wilde writes, "Well, the way of paradoxes is the way of truth. To test reality, we must see it on the tightrope. When the varieties become acrobats, we can judge them." The paradox was a persistent and central device that was developed in poetry to create a remarkable thought image out of works. For instance, in John Donne's Holy Sonnets, Death Be Not Proud, for particular example, Death be not proud, though some have called thee mighty and dreadful. One short sleep past, we wake eternally, and death shall be no more. Death, thou shalt die. The poet tries to demean the phenomenon of death by deeming it as just a short sleep. However, the inevitability and power of death is presented in the same stanza. Another example taken from the tragedy of Romeo and Juliet by William Shakespeare shows the use of contradictory ideas. The idea of earth being the birthplace as well as the graveyard for creatures is presented through these lines. The earth, that is, nature's mother, is her tomb. What is her burying grave? That is her womb. The purpose of a paradox is to arrest attention and provoke fresh thoughts. It is viewed as an instrument that is fundamental to the poetic language, not only because of the literary juxtapositions, but also because a paradox continuously redefines and further qualifies meanings of ordinary words. When two terms that in ordinary usages are contraries are joined, it is called oxymoron. An oxymoron deliberately uses two ideas. This contradiction creates a paradoxical image in the reader or listener's mind that generates a new concept or meaning for the whole. For instance, life is bittersweet, egg loud silence, lonely crowd, living death, darkness visible, the precious bane. This is all about the first term, the first concept which is in our syllabus entitled paradox. Now we come to the second term of our syllabus titled antithesis. The word antithesis has its origin from a Greek word meaning setting opposite. Antithesis is a contrast or opposition in meaning. It shows a similar word. It shows a similar word order and structure in its syntax. Some famous antithetical statements have become part of our everyday speech and are being frequently used. For example, man proposes, God disposes. Speech is silver, but silence is gold. In literature, writers employ antithesis not only in sentences but also in events and characters. For example, Alexander Pope, in his An Essay on Criticism, says, "To err is human, to forgive divine." Through these antithetical ideas, Pope reveals the basic nature of humans. It is only human to make mistakes, but it takes more than just human, something divine to forgive. Shakespeare's play Julius Caesar, Julius Caesar is one of the best examples of antithetical characters. Marcus Brutus is considered to be the noblest of Romans, who loved Rome and was close to Caesar, whereas Mark Antony was portrayed as ambitious an ambitious man who might have dethroned Caesar. However, in the play, Brutus stabs Caesar to death, while Antony wages a war against Brutus to take revenge for Caesar's death. These antithetical characters highlight the conflict in the play. Antithesis uses exact opposites or contrasting ideas to strengthen the argument of a sentence. It makes the narrative more striking through balance and emphasis of the word. The opening lines of Charles Dickens' novel, The Tale of Two Cities, that published in 1859, Dickens writes, It was the best of times. It was the worst of times. It was the age of wisdom. It was the age of foolishness. It was the epoch of belief. It was the epoch of incredulity. It was the season of light. It was the season of darkness. It was the spring of hope. It was the winter of despair. We had everything before us. We had nothing before us. We were all going direct to heaven. We were all going direct to the other way. These ideas highlight the conflict which existed during the time when Dickens was writing. That's all about today's lecture. Rest of the terms, rest of the concepts we shall study in our next lecture. Thank you very much.